If you're struggling with your mental health, if you're experiencing anxiety or OCD or depression, for example, and you have spent a lot of time applying different techniques and tools, here's a provoking idea. Perhaps you've been working at a different level in the mind, and maybe you're not targeting the root cause of what's causing your mental illness. And when I say root cause, I'm not talking about any biological deficits like, for example, dopamine or serotonin. I'm not talking about what happened early on in your life. And I'm also not talking about deeper rooted emotions or things that need to be dealt with. So in order to understand this, we need to understand how the mind works. According to British professor Adrian Wells, the mind is divided into systems, in two systems. One system is called the cognitive system, and the other is called the metacognitive system. Now, in the cognitive system, we think, kind of on autopilot. We reflect, we analyze and worry and suppress and do a lot of different things. But we don't really think about how and why we're doing those things. Now, the metacognitive system is the script for the kind of thinking that we do in the cognitive system. The cognitive system kind of does things without necessarily reflecting on why we're doing these things. So if I analyze and I think about problems in my life, I'm not necessarily reflecting about why I'm doing that thinking. I just do it. So if the script I have in my metacognitive system says that every time a problem happens in your life and you have a negative thought, you should go in there and start worrying or start analyzing that thought. So if that's my script, every time a problem happens, every time a negative thought pops up, this is what I will do. I will start analyzing, I will start worrying due to the script that I have. Now, if someone has been struggling with their mental health and they have all these intrusive thoughts and intrusive memories that they feel are incredibly painful, which is of course understandable, and if they've been using different strategies to cope with these thoughts and feelings, their efforts are probably not so fruitful because they haven't dealt with the script that's in the metacognitive system. If they have a script that goes, thoughts are dangerous, emotions, they last forever and ever. Thoughts can make terrible things happen. Thoughts are facts. So if this is someone's script and they are using the best tools and strategies out there to deal with their negative and intrusive thoughts, their efforts might just go to waste because they haven't changed the script. They're just in their cognitive system doing the same thing or trying to deal with a thought, but the next time an intrusive thought pops up, they still think, they still believe that the thought is dangerous, that the thought is fact, that the feeling will persist. So they're bound to struggle because the script has not changed. Unfortunately, most of us are not aware of this division in our thinking, that what we do in our thinking mind, if you can call it that, is controlled by the scripts that we have in our metacognitive system. And you guessed right, in order to change the kind of thinking we do, the kind of ways we deal with our thoughts and feelings, we need to change the scripts. Changing the script is unique to the type of therapy that I practice that is called Metacognitive Therapy, MCT. MCT is built on the premise that the ideas we have about our minds, the ideas we have about our thoughts, dictate how we deal with them. So if I have an idea that my intrusive thoughts are dangerous, that every time they pop up, they can make terrible things come true, or that they are facts just because they come up and they feel so uncomfortable. So if that is my script, I will start worrying about my intrusive thoughts. I will try to suppress my intrusive thoughts. But in order to overcome the struggle with intrusive thoughts and overcome my OCD, I need to develop a relaxed relationship with my thoughts. And that is only done by changing the script. So this is the goal of metacognitive therapy, to help us relate to our thoughts and feelings and our minds in a completely different way. And that is done by changing the ideas that we have of our minds. So changing the scripts that we have about our thinking. And that is why MCT is so effective and why it has very long-term good effects. So it's not about teaching our clients just to deal with a thought and try to cope with that thought or negative experience that they're having, but changing the foundation, changing the way they, to begin with, relate to their minds. And this is why MCT is quite different from most therapies, although many people can find similarities between the strategies and the techniques that we use in MCT and, for example, ACT or mindfulness meditation. But MCT is much more about the tools and the techniques. It's about the whole ideas and the scripts that we have about how our minds work. And that is very, very important to target if we want to recover from mental health problems.